Hi, this is Christina, and this is another edition of the Right News. This edition, I'm going to be covering the Public Health Act 2016, Section 197. It's a very interesting Public Health Act. It's very tyrannical, very draconian, and probably one of the harshest in the entire world. In particular, I would like to focus on a recent appearance of this particular title that appeared suddenly and it has since disappeared. So what it says, and if you look on my Facebook of April 28th, I actually posted it there and I've copied the link for safekeeping in case it disappears forever. So I have proof that it actually was on the wa.gov.au website. So here in the democratic nation of Australia, and in this wonderful state of Western Australia, we have a particular act called the Public Health Act 2016. There was an act already in place before that, but they repealed that one and put this one in instead in 2016. And it has this very interesting Section 197, which says that it states the Public Health Act 2016 WA, instrument of authorization to supply and administer SARS-CoV-2 in brackets COVID-19 vaccine, and it's a poison. And it's to be administered by no other than the Australian Defence Force. So this boggles the mind. This piece of legislation basically states that the vaccine, which millions have been lining up and are impatiently drumming their fingers on the table, waiting with bated breath to get, is actually called a poison. And I guess it was an oversight to have left that on the website. And people like me have been posting it. And that's why I guess if you go on the Public Health Act 2016, Section 197, it's been taken away. So we also know, of course, of Section 158, which is also draconian, but at least this was not a poison that is forcibly being injected into us by no less than the Australian Defence Force, which is supposed to defend us. So I'm not sure why the Defence Force have been called in to administer poison on perfectly healthy citizens. So Section 158 basically states that an authority is allowed to come to our home, force entry, hold us down so that they can take off our clothes, including our underwear, and then to administer an injection. So I really am speechless, because this is a democracy. This is a free country. And yet there are laws such as these in place. When it was during the elections and I was at the early polling booth, I showed the actual Section 158 with the forced entry to people who were coming to vote. Some, very few, were alarmed. Others, the majority, would either dismiss it as heresy, or they would say, this can't be. We're living in the 2021. There's no way. And even if it is in place, they will never administer it. Well, my dear friends, it is a piece of legislation. And if it's a piece of legislation, they can enact it at any time. Why is it even there in the first place? Why did they have to repeal the old act? Why did they have to put this one in? And it was passed without a referendum. so that people like you and me never knew. And there is another one that's facing Parliament right now. And I know that our dear Premier is flexing his muscle and he wants to pass that as well. And that is the Suppression Order Act. And that is another story that I will talk about in an upcoming episode, because that deserves time for discussion all on its own. And if you want to, I have links on the actual Health Act in full in the description below. If you think this is dire enough to share with your friends, please go ahead and do so. This is why I do this, because I'm a communicator, and this is the sort of information we need to communicate. Not lies, not heresies, not half-truths, but facts. That comes out of the Public Health Act 2016. It's on the website if you Google it. I'm not making this up, it is for real. And if you think you're living in a democratic country, think again. You are not. This is totalitarian. This is a fascist regime. But we can do one thing. We can unite, and we can, as many people have done so in Canada, in the US, in UK, in Europe, we can show the authorities that we will not stand for this. And we can march together in unity. But people must wake up, and they must know that this is in place and it will be enforced if we do not do anything. The time is now to act. Do not wait any longer.